There are many different ways to day trade news releases, and in this video I'm going to share with you my process for day trading the news, day trading Forex, specifically focusing on pound dollar. I'm going to take you through my entire process for day trading news releases, and I'm also going to share with you a full trade recap of a winning trade that I took this week, day trading one of the major news releases, which was FOMC. It's important to remember that news can create a lot of volatility in the markets. As day traders, volatility is our friend, but it is also very risky. So it's just very important to be aware that there is some real risk involved when you are day trading. If you are a beginner, I certainly recommend sticking to a demo until you get your strategy under wraps and your risk management under control. If you're looking for some more information on the basics, on the foundations of day trading Forex, I have got an ebook available which is linked in the description below. All of the software that I'm using in this video is also linked in the description below, so make sure you check that out. Please remember to like and subscribe to the channel, and let's dive straight into the video. Okay guys, so here I am in my platform in MetaTrader 5. This is the platform that I have taken the trade in. It's actually my prop trading account, the account that I trade with the prop firm, the 5%ers. If you don't know what a prop firm is, I will link to a video above which will give you some more detailed information. But basically it's where you trade a company's capital and take a split of any profits that are made on the account. It's a great way to trade a large account if you don't have that money yourself. I'll talk a little bit more about the 5%ers and the different programs they have available later in the video. If you're interested, make sure you stick around for that. But I've just gone into my trade history here, and you can see that this is the trade. There's actually two positions I took for this trade, day trading news, and I took this on the 1st of May. I closed one position on the 1st of May and the other I closed yesterday. So as I'm recording this, it's Friday the 3rd of May. And together they created 4R profits on my account. So I risk 1R per trade. It varies depending on what account I trade with. I risk a little bit less in my prop account. In my live account with Vantage, I risk a little bit more, risking 1% per trade. But for this trade in particular, I made 4R profit, 4 times my risk in return. So how exactly did I do this trading news? Well, let's start right at the beginning. What is the first step involved in day trading news? Well, obviously it is to check what news events are due to be released so that you know when those times are to watch the charts. For this, I go onto the website forexfactory.com, and on there they have a free calendar that you can look at that shares all of the upcoming economic events and news releases. Now at the moment I've actually filtered this here, this little green box. I've filtered it on the major impact, and I've also filtered it to the two currency pairs that I like to trade, which is the Great British Pound and the US dollar. Now you can see there was no actual news due out on the Monday. On Tuesday there was major news for the US dollar, the last being released at 3 o'clock. Moving on to the Wednesday, there was major news being released throughout the afternoon in GMT here, as I'm based in England, for the US dollar, the last of which was FOMC statement. Now this was due out at 7 o'clock along with the federal funds rate. This happens, it says actually some more information here if you need it. It measures the interest rate at which depository institutions lend balances held at the Federal Reserve to other depository institutions overnight. And it happens 8 times in a year. So it isn't a regular event that occurs, but when it does occur, it historically makes a lot of volume, a lot of movement in the markets. And so on the Wednesday, I didn't take any trades at all. I was waiting until that news release at 7. But you've still got to have a trade plan. And for that, let's go to the charts. Now, I hopped onto the charts here on TradingView, and before I can share with you the recap of the winning trade that I took during news release, it's really important to go to where this trade actually started. And for me, that was on the Tuesday afternoon, because that was the last of the major news release that was due out, that I set my first trade, which actually links with my winning trade. This is what I mean. So looking here on the 15-minute time frame for pound dollar, I've zoomed out so you can see an overall view of the markets. We had been coming down, making lower lows and lower highs, a low here, but we started to trend up. And last week we saw a break of major structure on the daily, and it continued to trend upwards until we came to this fair value gap here on the daily time frame. This week, pound dollar has been in a range on the daily time frame, so it hasn't moved up, it hasn't moved down, it's not quite sure where it wants to go. Well, using this larger structure view, I calculated this area here where price may want to pull back to for a deeper pullback before it potentially moves higher. That's one scenario. Looking at the most recent price action here, we can see that we have started to lose the momentum pushing upwards as we got to this fair value gap. In fact, the most recent low was tested here after we had a push up, and then we've started to form almost like a head and shoulders pattern. And so I was short biased at this point. Now on the Tuesday after 3 o'clock, we had the major news release, and at this point I was very short biased. The 4-hourly candle had closed bearish and I was looking to get in for a short just below the institutional price level here at 48. My initial stop was using 20 pips just above this fair value gap, and I was targeting a break of the lows here. But as you can see, price just kind of dropped without me and I never got that order. Well, I left my order there overnight to see if it got filled. Moving this on in time to the following day, the Wednesday evening, just before the FOMC news release was due out. As you can see, price just kind of trended lower throughout that evening, and it was just consolidating underneath this institutional price level at 1.25. Now at this point, my order was still set for a sell limit, but I cancelled that because I always cancel any open orders before the news release just because I think it is incredibly risky. Everybody has their own risk tolerances, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't have an order set before a news release, but me personally, I prefer to wait for the news release and then decide which direction I'm going to go into. So at about 7 o'clock, I was waiting, looking at the charts to see what happened. And FOMC was released. We had a push up, but we had a wick rejection. At first, rejection is institutional price level, but then price started to push up. We got a huge push up with some very strong momentum, and it was going up towards my initial area where I was looking to get short. So I had an alert set about 10 pips below this entry. My alert went off and I realized that price was coming to the area. So at this point, I wanted to just do a couple of checks to make sure that my trade plan was still valid for a short. First of all, I was looking at the overall structure here, and just to clarify, looking at the structure here, price had made a high, it made a higher low, a new high. Since then, we'd had this sell-off and we had broke the structure and made a new low, which to me is a bearish indication. What's more is if I use the Fibonacci retracement tool from the high here and place it at the low, it is coming into the area, the optimum trade entry levels right here, which is the 62%, the 70% and 79% retracement. But for my strategy in particular, what's most important is it utilizes the institutional price level, which is at 1.25. So for me, I felt this was a valid plan. My stop was clear of the previous daily high together with the fair value gap here from the daily, and I was initially looking for a 2R profit. So 2 times what I was risking for the trade. At this point, I set the order. Price pushed up and we got this little wick rejection here. So I'm still on the 50-minute time frame. Let's just zoom in and have a look. You can get a little bit more information from the faster time frame here. So in the 1 minute, you can see that we did get a little bit of momentum come into the downside, but price wasn't quite finished yet. However, as I saw that they had this wick rejection, tapping that institutional price level and then immediately selling off, I decided to just go in again because I was using half of my risk. So I set another position, which is where you saw 2 positions on my broker. This is what I call a runner. So I open 2 positions, one aiming for a shorter profit and the other one aiming for a larger profit, utilizing daily levels. So for me, I was looking for a break of this structure here, and then I was aiming for the next institutional price level. So both of my trades got triggered. I was in this short and price started to push down. And almost immediately it hit my first target at 2R. This was on the Wednesday evening. I just put my boys to bed. So this was a lovely feeling because it doesn't happen very often for me that I get into a trade and get an immediate resolution. It was great. At this point, I was still in my other position, but I decided to mitigate my risk by setting my stop to break even. So I had made 2R already with another open position at break even. I could sleep easier. That's the way I like to trade. Moving on into the Thursday, the following day, I still had my position open. It came very close to my break-even stop, but didn't trigger. And then as the London session came to an end, price started to break past the intraday lows here, and it started to push lower. As this happened, I started to trail a profit stop, because in the past, so many times I've had a runner and I've ended up with nothing because I've tried to leave it open with a break-even stop, and I've resulted in getting a break-even trade. Wasn't going to let that happen this time. So as price pushed down here, breaking the lows, making an intraday downtrend. At this point, I trailed a tight stop and I set it to 0.08, which was actually the 2R target. So at the worst scenario, I was going to make another 2R on the trade, and the best case scenario was that it was going to push down to my target. We saw a really nice push down here, but it didn't sustain and it actually came back up and it stopped me out. So I got out of this with another 2R, giving me a total of 4R profits on the trade. Which in fact was the right thing to do, because as the day progressed, and then now we're in Friday intraday, as you can see, price has come back up. It's gone past my original entry and I would be in the red. So I'm really happy the way that I managed this trade, managing to get more profits. Obviously, there's always room for improvement with trading, and there's always that dissatisfaction because you know you can always do better. But I think that's where psychology comes in, and you've just got to be happy with what you've managed to achieve. For me, naturally, I would have liked to have taken this extra bit of profit. It moved down just past 3R, and I wonder if I could have trailed an even tighter profit stop. But ultimately, I was trying to get a lot more, and you've got to give the trade room to move. I'm just happy that I've managed to make a nice profit on this trade in total. And that's basically using a combination of market structure, daily key levels, Fibonacci retracement, and of course, the news events. News trading can just really stimulate and act as a strong catalyst, because for day trading, we need volume, we need movement, we need the market to move. And that's what news does. It creates some movement in the market. Earlier in the video, I talked about my prop trading account with the 5%ers. So I'm just going to take a minute or two to just share more about that if you are interested in finding out more. So as I mentioned, the 5%ers are a prop firm. You can enroll in one of their programs, which is essentially a challenge where you have to trade for a certain amount of time. You have to respect your stop out, and if you hit the target, you get access to a fully funded trading account. Now, they actually have 3 different programs available, and I'm currently enrolled in the hyper growth program. And it's important to remember with trading that there are so many aspects involved. Everybody is different, and trading for somebody will be completely different trading for somebody else. Because there is risk involved, some people prefer high risk, some people don't like risk at all. There are different strategies, different time frames. You may be a scalp trader using the 5-minute time frame, or you may prefer swing trading on the daily time frame. But no matter your style, no matter your risk preferences, I have tried a few different prop firms so far, and so far the 5%ers, in my opinion, have been one of the best in the industry, because they really focus on the trading performance. They focus on growing an account, but in the right way, rather than aiming for the most profits as quick as possible, which in my experience is not generally realistic when it comes to day trading the financial markets. But there's certainly the option to make a lot of money with them. As you can see, they've got a scaling plan here, and although the initial balance on their hypergrowth program is $20,000, which is what I'm using at the moment, the scope there to be able to double that account size as you keep hitting your targets trading means that you have access up to a $4 million account size. It's just a matter of time. It's about trusting the process and trading the best that you can, knowing that if you're able to do that, the profits will take care of themselves. But if you want some more information, I've got a link to the 5%ers in the description below this video. If you've enjoyed the video, do let me know by hitting that like button. Any questions, any comments, do leave them below as well, and I'll catch you in my next video. Thank you for watching. Bye.